Hello, Libras. If you have a mantra this month, it's insist on reciprocity, or don't back down, or maybe both. October won't be the least stressful month of your life, but on the other hand, it won't be boring, and it could be exciting too. If you start to feel anxious, remember that anxiety is, among other things, a kind of energy. Think of it that way, and you can access a lot of willpower and drive this month. Think energy and attitude. It's important to stand up for yourself and maintain healthy boundaries in your family and personal life. Do that, and you could feel a boost in your self-esteem by November. If a friend or partner seems withdrawn or restless, don't let him or her clam up. Make sure you keep communicating frankly. If you or a family member has been needing to move, either out of town or elsewhere within the same town, that situation may become more obvious in October. Give careful consideration to where you might want to go, and do your homework thoroughly about any possible new place. If you live with anyone who would be moving with you, don't let anybody dominate the decision about where and when to go. It should be either a mutual decision or a compromise that feels as fair as possible to everyone involved. Finally, Mercury turns retrograde in Scorpio on Halloween, and we can start to feel that energy as early as the 27th. That's one reason I'm encouraging forthright communication. Document everything, check the details, and keep them at your fingertips. Important communications, appointments, tests, applications, or contracts are best handled before October 27th or after November 25th. Your song this month is Best Day of My Life by American authors.
Okay.
Hello, Scorpios. Be aware of the balance you're maintaining between work and rest this month, and of how that balance, or the lack of it, may relate to your health. If one side's been getting much more time than the other, you may need to make some adjustments. Feeling irritable, you may need more time off. Feeling sluggish, you might need a change of diet or more exercise. If you've been bursting with some difficult information that you need to process or communicate, the first 4 weeks of October are a better time for doing that than the last 4 days are, particularly if you need to be more diplomatic than blunt about it, or if it concerns a relationship issue. Watch your temper. Venting to somebody close, trusted, and cool-headed might be safe and helpful. However, verbally harpooning the wrong person or blowing up in front of someone you've just met will probably not change anything and may complicate the situation considerably. The 28th new moon in your sign and opposing Uranus suggests a need to focus on yourself and your options. Don't distract yourself from important self-analysis by acting impulsively in a relationship or by letting someone quirkish or opinionated knock you off balance. In fact, balance is your key word of the month. So your song this month is Get the Balance Right by Depeche Mode. Greetings, Sagittarius. Your ruling planet, Jupiter, could be personified as the cosmic Santa Claus, bearing goodwill toward whomever he meets. Through December, he's in your sign, and may be dropping some extra luck or opportunities down your chimney, Sag. So look for them and take advantage of them. Keep your eyes peeled for people who could become your allies or creative partners, and for those who might as well be wearing a sign on their foreheads that says Walking Stress Factory. Other gifts from Jupiter include optimism, hope, and insights about your future, so do some daydreaming and take some notes. Where do you want to be in 10 or 12 years, and with whom? What do you want to have seen and done by then? What changes would you like to make in your working environment? How about in where you're living? Take it all into account. About the only thing you might have to fear is selling yourself short. instead of going after a better life. I would suggest being gentle with yourself around the new moon on the 28th, because you could be more apt to brood or to beat yourself up then, and because we start to feel the Mercury station on the 27th before it turns retrograde on Halloween. If you're feeling remorseful about something, ask yourself if, perhaps, that cloud has a silver lining that you haven't fully noticed yet. Then look for it. Supportive friends who possess some depth may be able to help you there. And your song is Good Life by One Republic. Hello, Capricorns. Did you ever see the movie The Sixth Sense? There's a scene in it where the ghost of a little girl reaches out from under the hero's bed and grabs the kid's ankle to get his attention. If you aren't expecting it, you'll jump about a foot, right along with the hero. To his credit, the kid recovers enough to ask her what she wants. That's important. There aren't any ghosts or long-leggedy beasties under your bed, Cappy. However, there could be a psychologically charged situation, past or present, that's coming to a head or at least to a turning point. Don't run away. Don't cover your eyes. Just face it squarely. That's your equivalent of asking what the psychologically charged situation wants. The one-size-fits-all description of what it wants is for you to understand it better, which also means understanding yourself better. I don't mean wallowing around in your feelings, which is not one of your preferred pastimes. I do mean figuring out what, if anything, you can learn here. Around the 13th full moon, an event at work or at home might be related to that situation, or could trigger memories or insights related to it. You may have to set some clear limits or do something a bit stressful. And by the 28th new moon, if you've kept on facing that psychologically charged situation, you may gather some insights that will help you put it behind you. How will you know if you've put it behind you? Well, one clue is that you won't be ruminating about it every time there isn't something else you have to think about. You can do it. Some time alone will help. So your song is I Can See Clearly Now by Johnny Nash. My fellow Aquarians, I have a suggestion for you for this month's full moon on the 13th. What do I want you to do? Almost nothing. You've been very busy lately, so much so that you may be losing track of why you do everything you do. So, on the 13th, sit quietly with your computer or some paper and a pen and put 2 columns on your screen or page. In the left-hand column, make a list of everything you've done so far in October and everything you'll do the rest of the month. That means your work and home responsibilities, your calendar entries, including social activities, and whatever you try to do on a regular basis, such as exercise or study. Take your time, put the list away, and relax for an hour or 2. Then go over it and ask yourself some questions about each item. Why am I doing this? Do I need to? Do I want to? Could or should somebody else do it? What do I need or want to do that's not on this list? Write down your answers in the column on the right. For the past year or so and the year ahead, one of your self-defeating behaviors may be getting too wrapped up in what's essentially unnecessary busy work. It's complicated because you've also been learning and growing through shouldering more responsibilities. But ideally, you're performing the duties that no one but you can do, or that no one can do as well as you. Cross items off the list that are delegatable or not really necessary. Review the list at the 28th new moon with an eye toward how you could use any freed up time to grow your career. Your song this month is Wasting Time by Daywave, performing live on KCRW. Don't forget to support public radio. For you Pisceans, there have been and will be some opportunities out there for you, my friends, professionally or within your community or both. If you want to take full advantage of those chances, here are some ideas for you. 1. Especially around the 13th, believe in yourself that you can use those opportunities well and thoroughly, that you're competent, talented, and skilled. 2. Avoid people who are consistently negative or controlling. If they don't actually put obstacles in your path, their attitudes might undermine you. 3. Be clear about what you want the most. None of us has time to do everything that crosses our minds, nor to say yes to whatever we're asked. Strive to be selective. 4. You may be sitting there right now thinking, but I don't know what I want the most. How can I figure that out? If that's the case, I have a suggestion for you, a kind of thought experiment. It will be particularly fruitful to do this on the 28th, but keeping it in mind all month is an excellent idea. Here it is. Imagine that you had a year to live and that money were no object. What would you spend that year doing? If you had only 1 year left, which of those opportunities would you pursue, and which would you answer with a no thank you? If you take some time every day and think about it, I guarantee you'll feel a lot more clear about your most important goals come November. Your song is One Moment in Time, sung here by the late Whitney Houston, and written by Albert Hammond and John Bettis. Cancers. This month, you may be working extra hard, dealing with stressors at home. The house needs this, the car needs that, and your partner could be in a better frame of mind. How to strategize your way through it without anyone getting clobbered, including yourself. First, take frequent breaks during which you also take lots of nice, deep, slow breaths. You are not the Energizer Bunny or any other kind of machine, so don't keep going until you fall down. Get enough sleep. Exhausted people are inefficient and can get touchy. Say no when you sense you're headed for burnout. Tune up your manipulation detector, okay? I know you like to help others, but just now, especially with some family members, you might need to insist that some people are quite able to take care of themselves while you have to keep on flying at warp 10 for a while. Delegate. Minimize unnecessary stress. This is not the time to adopt a rambunctious, unhousebroken puppy who will soon weigh 90 pounds. Since we feel Mercury approaching retrograde by the 27th, and its station is on Halloween, if there are details you need to get in order before the holidays, take care of as many of them as you easily can before the end of October. The new moon on the 28th affects the area of pleasure, play, hobbies, creativity, kids, and the beginnings of relationships for you. For the end of this very busy month, book something you know you'll enjoy. Protect that date and have fun. See a concert, spend a weekend out of town and not working. Play bumper cars, do whatever makes you laugh. You will deserve it. I love your song this month. It's Unstoppable by Sia. Aries, it is your turn. You are in a three-part balancing act among your significant others, yourself, and your vocation or role in your community. The latter area is probably where you're feeling the most tension during October, particularly around the 13th full moon. Your goals there are certainly not impossible, but will require some hard work, self-discipline, and soul-searching on your part. What might you be afraid of here? Find it and face it. I understand that's easier said than done, but I think you'll find that your next steps will become more clear and less spooky if you figure out what's bugging you. It's like calling the evil hobgoblin in the fairy tale, Rumpelstiltskin, by his name in order to banish him. You don't have to do this alone either. Talking to trusted friends or advisors about how you're feeling could be surprisingly helpful. Look for people who are willing to challenge your assumptions or point out the areas where your thinking might be irrational, but who don't bully you while they're at it. A couple of other useful strategies are reminding yourself that you don't need anyone else's approval or permission to follow your calling, and sometimes taking a break that involves a total change of scene, preferably to someplace interesting, and a change of pace. Just keep moving forward. You can do this. This month, your song is Risin' Up by Mike Doughty. Some background. Doughty's been in recovery from substance abuse for more than 10 years. Check out his lyrics, too. Leos, if you have been in a rut lately, it's time to get out of it, my friends. If there's a mantra of the month for you this October, it's probably banish boredom. Learn or try some new things, think some new thoughts, visit some new places, get to know some new people, or try all of the above. If the current socio-political climate has been bothering or puzzling you, it's a good month to educate yourself about the reasons it developed. We don't need to go into them here. Share your informed opinions. Get some dialogue going and keep it civil, or start a blog or a journal about your thoughts and observations. As always with you, creativity or performance will lift your spirits, as will anything you do to feed your playful side. It's also a good month to inform yourself about what small or large changes in your lifestyle would improve your health, to make those changes and stick to them. If someone at work has embarked upon a power trip, keep up your job performance and do an end run around him or her if you possibly can, rather than kicking up a fuss. Another way to put this is speak softly and carry a big stick. If your job description is changing, don't stress about it. Think of it as something that can contribute to your banishment of boredom. That's why your song this month is Thinking is the Best Way to Travel by the Moody Blues. Okay, Taurus, if you are a spiritual person, you may have some integration to do between your devotional life and your outer world responsibilities this month. If you're an artistic person, you may be looking at the balance between talent and inspiration versus working to develop your skills. If you're a gardener, you know that sometimes you have to let a field lie fallow without any crops for a while to get it back into shape for planting. Basically, you need to consider your own balance between action and reflection this month and tweak it in whatever direction you decide it needs to go, without neglecting your essential responsibilities. The 28th new moon can bring a focus on a relationship or relationships that is probably deep and perhaps intense. You've been in a more independent frame of mind lately, and this person may want to share more than you felt inclined to do. However, it's important that you keep the lines of communication open and be accessible without being a pushover, because something about that extra closeness could be healing or relaxing for you, or provide you with some new insights. Your song this month is Say by John Mayer. Okay, Virgo. You and your mate may have some things to discuss and negotiate. That's not a problem unless you're frightened of something about it. If you are, is that fear realistic? Do you have any concrete evidence, for example, that your mate is thinking of leaving or involved with somebody else, etc.? If you aren't scared, good. It's wise to go into a conversation both feeling confident and ready to listen. The psychologist James Hillman once wrote words to the effect that it's important to listen carefully to what your partner says is his or her experience without invalidating it, and it's important not to blame your partner as the only reason you aren't happy. You should also ask for that behavior in return. This October, it's wise for you to be sure you know exactly what your partner means, because you might not grasp it fully right away. If you aren't certain, ask questions. Probably the more the better. Speak your mind. If things have felt a bit grim and you haven't had enough time to relax, say so. If some family members have been around a little bit too often, mention that too, particularly if they're opinionated or have wanted special treatment. Keep talking as long as you need to, and take breaks when necessary. Both of you have the right to end the conversation for the time being, and for any reason. Just return to it when you're ready. And be patient. You may arrive at a lot more clarity by the new moon on the 28th. So for this month, your song is called Change Your Mind, and it's by Sister Hazel. Hello there, Gemini. Not even fast-paced you can live in the present and the future at the same time. Nevertheless, that's a good metaphor for your balancing act this month. To behave in such a way that you're not robbing from either one. If you goof off too much in the here and now, you could interfere with part of your own future, maybe a little or maybe more. But if you spend all of your time making plans, crossing items off your lists, and having meetings about what lies ahead, you could miss out on having some much-needed relaxation, fun, time with your kids, or meeting a new friend or friends. It could help to think of this balancing act as something like being the cartoon Roadrunner and the cartoon Coyote at the same time. The Roadrunner runs down the road all day, encounters the Coyote's latest MacGyver scheme with equanimity, and basically dances his way through or around it with a bit of hocus pocus. You can do that too. No matter what backfires on him, the Coyote keeps hatching new schemes to catch the Roadrunner, although he really should rethink getting all his supplies from the Acme Company, because they have not been the best of allies for him. There's a clue for you here. Keep thinking ahead, but be willing to change your tactics and your sources of help and information as nimbly as that Roadrunner detours around the Coyote's latest trap. The 28th new moon brings a focus on your skills and competencies, and perhaps a need to rethink or add to them too. So this month your song is by Rush, and it's called Digital Man.